Good morning and welcome to our English class. Today in this class we are going to see Unit 3 Supplementary. It's a very interesting supplementary. You want to read the story, you want to know about it, isn't it, children? It is a Sindbad, my first voyage. Children, can you tell me what is the meaning of voyage? Voyage is a journey. Have you traveled by ship, children? Have you gone to the sea? So it is a very interesting story that we are going to see today. A poor man of Baghdad rests by the gates of a fabulously wealthy merchant. He is invited in by the owner and discovers that they share the same name, Sindbad. The wealthy Sindbad relates how he made his fortune in 7 adventures at sea. Today in our class we are going to see only the first adventure, that is the first journey of Sindbad. There are 7 voyages are there, but today we are going to see the first journey of Sindbad by the sea. He was a son of rich merchant. How he enjoyed his life, how he spent his wealthy, that we are going to see. Okay, dear children, are you ready for the class? Sindbad the sailor is a fictional mariner and the hero of a story cycle of Middle Eastern origin. He is described as a man from Baghdad during the early Abbasid Caliphate, 8th and 9th centuries CE. In the course of 7 voyages throughout the sea, east of Africa and south of Asia, he has fantastic adventures in magical realms, encountering monsters and witnessing supernatural phenomena. In this extract, means it's a story. The rich Sindbad describes his first voyage to the poor Sindbad porter. Here, porter means a person employed to carry luggage or other loads. So, the Sindbad the sailor is a fictional mariner and the hero story cycle of Middle Eastern origin. He is from the Middle Eastern origin. He is the hero of this title. What is the fictional narrative, children? A fictional narrative is a story that is not true. It is written to entertain the reader. So don't think that this has taken place. It's a imagination and they have written the story. So Sindbad the sailor, the fictional mariner and the hero of the story cycle of Middle Eastern origin. So he is from the Middle Eastern origin and Sindbad is the hero of this story. He is described as a man from Baghdad during the early Abbasid Caliphate. Which century? It is 8th and 9th centuries CE. In the course of 7 voyages throughout the sea east of Africa and south of Asia, he has a fantastic adventures in magical realms, encountering monsters and witnessing supernatural phenomena. See children, in the course of 7 voyages, now we are going to see only the first voyage. But there are 7 voyages. If you are interested, you can read the books. You go to the library and get this title, the book, storybook, and you can read it. It is from the Africa and South of Asia. He has fantastic adventures of magical realms and the monsters, encountering monsters. You know that what is the meaning of monsters. You can see in the pictures. And witnessing supernatural phenomena. It is not a natural phenomena but a supernatural phenomena. Phenomena means events. In this story, in this extract, the rich Sindbad describes his first voyage to the poor Sindbad porter. They are saying the story about the rich Sindbad. Describes his first voyage, the journey. Porter already said a person employed to carry luggage. My father was a rich merchant. When he died, I was still young. He left behind a big wealth. However, I was an inexperienced, thoughtless youth and spent all his wealth foolishly. I returned to my senses only after the loss of all the wealth. I decided to sail for a Persian Gulf with some goods. Our group sailed from one country selling the goods. One day, when we were on board, we saw a beautiful small green island. Just to have some fun, we all got down on that green patch. We were hungry and so we decided to cook some food there. So, he is explaining what he was about. My father was a rich and he is telling his story. When he died, I was very young. But he left behind me all the wealth. He left for him all the wealth. He was not an experienced boy. And he spent all the wealth foolishly. See, father has left for him so much of wealth. Since he was a very young boy, he enjoyed his life to the maximum and spent all that his father left behind for him was spent by the son. Everything he spent it foolishly because he was not having an experience. How to spend the wealth he did not know. How to spend the money. How to spend the gold which he had. All that he did not know. But when he returned to his senses only, he realized that he lost all his wealth. Then he decided to sail for a Persian Gulf with some goods. With some things he started to travel. A group sailed from one country to another. If you want to sell some things country to country, you have to travel by any vehicles that can be on the road or on the sea or on the air. So he started to travel one country to another selling the goods. One day we were on board. One day when they were on the ship, we saw a small green island. Have you gone to the island, children? We have Andaman Nicobar Island. If you are able, you can go and see it. So when they saw the beautiful small green island, they want to have some fun. They want to enjoy. So all of them got down on the green patch. So everyone, the group of sailors went to know. So all of them got down. We were hungry and so decided to cook some food. So they were hungry, so they decided to cook some food there. As soon as we lit the fire on cooking, we got a jerk. The island was trembling. It was no island. It was the back of a huge animal which got disturbed when the fire was lit on his back. We were terrified when we realized this. Everyone jumped into the sea to save his life. Most of them boarded the ship, but a few were not so fortunate. Before they could climb up, the captain started the ship hurriedly, leaving behind a few sailors who were still struggling in the sea for their life. I was one among those strugglers. Fortunately, I got hold of a big piece of wood floating nearby and held on to it. So they were feeling very hungry and they started to cook food. When they lit the fire for cooking, we got a jerk. It started moving. No, it was trembling. The island was shaking. It was no island. That was not an island. Because they lit the fire, so it got heat and they were trembling. It was back of a huge animal which got disturbed when the fire was lit. We were terrified. Terrified means frightened. Because when the island started to move, they were very much frightened. Because it was not an island. So that the green patch was started to move. Everyone jumped into the sea. All of them jumped into the sea. They got frightened and they jumped into the sea to save life. They want to be safe, no? Most of them boarded the ship. Now those were able to swim, they boarded the ship. But some were struggling. Few were struggling inside the water. Before they could climb into the ship, the captain started ship hurriedly. Otherwise, they also will fall into that water. Leaving behind few sailors who were still struggling in the sea for their life. They left them and they started to move. But Sindbad also one among them and he was struggling and he got hold of a wood floating on the water. I was being tossed by the powerful sea waves, but I held on to the wood and kept floating for a long time. At last, I was thrown on an island. I was very tired and extremely hungry. But on the island, there was nothing to eat except a few herbs. Due to the continuous struggle in the sea water, my limbs became stiff and refused to move. I somehow managed to crawl to get a few herbs. I ate them and quenched my thirst from a spring on the island. Tossed meaning thrown about. Quenched means satisfied by drinking. So here he was thrown out of the ship and he was in the water. The captain, they moved the ship and they started to come to the shore. But he also, Sindbad was inside the water and he got a wood piece and he was moving on. Kept floating on the water. At last, he was thrown on an island. So, Sindbad was thrown on an island. Just he was floating on the water. He got hold of a wood and he was floating on the water and he was thrown on an island. He was very tired. For a long time, he was swimming to come to an island. He was very tired and he was extremely hungry, very, very hungry. You imagine children without food, how you will feel. For a long time you are swimming in the water, in the sea or whatever may be, no one is there to help you out. What will be your reaction there? Really, he was struggling for his life to save it. and he was extremely hungry. And when he was thrown into that island, he was nothing to have to eat. But there were few herbs. Due to the continuous struggle, he started to eat that herbs. Somehow he managed to crawl to get few herbs, and he ate and quenched his thirst, satisfied by drinking that. See children, limbs. Do you know what is the meaning of limbs? For a long time when you remain in the water, or when ice piece you keep for a long time, what happens? It becomes stiff. Your leg or the hand, whatever may be, it remains stiff. You cannot move from one place to another if your leg is got that struggle. So anyhow he crawled himself and managed to eat the herbs. I ate them and quenched my thirst from a spring on the island. From the island he was quenching his thirst. By drinking that water he quenched. He was satisfied by that drink. As I walked further in this strange land, I met a man. The man asked me where I had come from and who I was. I poured out my misfortune to him. The man felt pity when he heard my sad story. He took me inside a cave. There were a number of men present. They were all slaves of the king of the island. Those men were kind. They served me good food and drink and treated me well. Here, poured out meaning expressed freely. When someone asks you when you are in danger or when you are in struggle, when you are in disappointed, when they are like this, you will pour out everything what you are feeling it. So he asked, where are you from? Where do you come from? Even when you come from some place, if they don't know, they ask, where are you from? How do you come? How are you here? Who made you to come? Like that some question they can ask you. And who are you? What is the reason you are here? Like that some question they can raise because they have not seen you. So here also Sindbad they have not seen. As Sindbad was walking, one strange man in that land he met. The man asked me, very pitifully he is asking, what happened? He was feeling pity for him when he heard the story of Sindbad. And after hearing that story, he took him inside a cave. There were number of men present. In that cave, number of men present. They were all slaves of the king of the island. Slave of the island. Those men were very kind. Those slaves were very kind. They served him good food and drink and treat very well. So dear children, this is what all about Sindbad, the first voyage. Remaining we shall see in the next class. It is the half of